By day, George Mylordos works as an IT executive in a San Francisco bank. But by night, he pursues his true passion, playing music that has its roots in his native land. George was born in Cyprus and came to the United States in the early 1980s. His longtime musical partner is George Mylordos, who grew up in Greece. As young men newly arrived in America, both of them spent years on the road, playing in professional bands. But there came a time when they knew they had had enough.
That was when I started thinking about starting my own group and getting out of the nightclubs.
My kids made me stop touring all over the world so I can raise my family. One day we decided to quit the everyday scene, every night scene of the nightclubs and create something that we can play whenever we want to and play for higher standards.
So they decided to settle down. George Mylordos went to work for Wells Fargo and moved his family to San Leandro. George Mylordos opened a restaurant nearby. But there was never any doubt in their minds that they would continue to play music together.
Who did that? You hired.
Every week, they gather in George Mylordos' garage. They call their band KYMATA, Greek for waves of the sea. Since their founding almost a decade ago, KYMATA has played hundreds of weddings and festivals and become a prominent fixture in the Bay Area's Greek community, a community that now numbers almost 60,000. Over the years, the group has continued to grow, adding new members and refining their skills. George Mylordos, who taught himself to play the bouzouki at the age of 11, is now recognized as one of the world's most accomplished players. Under his leadership, KYMATA has developed a repertoire that tops 1,000 songs, spanning the full spectrum of Greek styles and musical traditions. Despite their success, the band has recently made the decision to begin playing fewer gigs so they can focus on writing and recording their own songs. They've begun to develop their own unique style, one that blends Greek and other Mediterranean influences with the music they loved as kids, rock and roll.
When I was in Greece, I learned the guitar from those Greek musicians, but I was more into rock and roll and Bob Dylan and J.J. Cale and Uriah Heep.
I've loved so much the jazz, the flamenco, and rock and roll, and that's how I came to the States, because of the music.
Costa Papamichael grew up in Greece loving American music. But when he arrived in the United States at the age of 25 to study architectural engineering, he found that his tastes had changed.
When I came here, I noticed that I didn't feel comfortable playing American music. And I also noticed that when I was getting songs, my mom or my sister, they would send me tapes, those would touch my heart.
What Americans would consider Greek music is actually a blend of many musical styles that evolved over many centuries. A mix of Byzantine chanting, gypsy folk music, and Arabic instruments and melodies. It's a rich musical heritage that presented KYMATA with some tough artistic choices as they began to assemble the music for their first CD. Those choices became even more difficult when their longtime female vocalist left the group just before their first recording session. The search for her replacement ended when the group discovered Katerina Klambariva. At 24, Katerina is half the age of the other musicians and far less experienced.
One of the things that we need to pay attention to is...
Number one, it's a challenge. Number two, it's very scary, and it's still very scary for me. But it's one of those things that I've always wanted to do. No matter how scary it is, it's just something that I have to try. And if it doesn't work out, great, but I have to at least give it a try.
One of Katerina's biggest challenges is singing rebetiko, a contemporary form of Greek music that resembles blues or jazz, with its extensive use of improvisation.
The rebetiko style evolved from all these refugees fleeing from Asia Minor into mainland Greece. They brought with them the bouzouki in the early 1920s, 1922 to be exact.
After 6 months of rehearsing with Katerina, KYMATA's sound is finally beginning to come together.
Where I see the band going is taking all those sounds, bringing them into a studio and creating a kind of music that will carry this Mediterranean, Greek, Eastern melody and put it against a Western type of harmony. I would call it KYMATA fusion, and being able to create a different sound in the Bay Area. Check, 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 check. Okay.
The time has come to begin recording their first tracks together. The band knows that this is a risky proposition. Despite their success to date, there's no telling how large the audience will be for their brand of musical fusion. They see themselves as part of a historical continuum that dates back millennia.
Tarada, stamna, and then kaiki, right?
And for them, the rewards are reaped every time they gather to play together.
It's nice to be in a position where you can play music for the sake of music and not for commercial reasons. I never thought of music as being any kind of a career. I saw it as an integral part of myself because I grew up with this instrument that I loved so much. When you perform, you're living in the moment. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter whether you want to make money out of it. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be a hit. You're just living in the moment.